Alrighty, how's it going? Jonathan here with Boston Collectors. And as you could already tell, we're unboxing and reviewing Mace Windu, as seen in both the Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars. While Hot Toys was nice enough to provide his alternative design, we'll keep it simple for research purposes and refer to this as the Attack of the Clones release. Excitement is an understatement for how I felt after his original announcement, but it also left me hoping for a few changes to his portrait design. More on that later. For me, his representation was necessary for my collection as both a Jedi Council member and as a Jedi General. So I went ahead and picked up two, which I very rarely do. Considering my collection consists of predominantly prequel-era figures, it made sense to me. If you like what you see so far, don't forget to like this video for us and subscribe for more. And with the box out of the way, we can go ahead and dive in. Out of the box, Mace is pre-equipped with a pair of unarmored neutral hands. A great addition for stoic poses or pose featuring the included holoprojector and hologram. Speaking of which, we've seen this hologram version of Yoda before through multiple releases. For the left hand, we have a force gesture utilizing a mold we've seen before in pairs. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't given them. Next, we have a left saber holding gesture, which I find to be far more natural than what we're used to. While we do have pairs of saber holding hands, they aren't identical, which I'm okay with. The right saber holding gesture is what we're used to with a lot of our Hot Toys, and it's something we've come to expect. Pair it with the left saber gesture though, it breaks up the redundant appearance between the other Jedi. Since we're here, we might as well go over his hilt design. It's the first of its kind from Hot Toys and I love the look of it. If you're expecting the etched BMF initials, you might need to seek custom help because it isn't present here. As with every other Jedi release, we're provided a static ignited effect, which is relatively vibrant. The same goes for the dynamic effect, which share the same clear to purple gradient as seen with the other colors. Included in the hilt, we have a shorter CoverTech wheel adapter for wielding. When his hilt isn't in use, you'll need to apply one of the two CoverTech wheels included inside. It'll hang a lot easier off of his belt if you do. Also, if you're familiar with the light-up hilt, well, you know what to expect. To save a little bit of time, we've jumped ahead on the install, but stay tuned for the overview section later on. I find setting up his light-up hilt a lot better this way than having cords hanging all over the place. It may just be me, so do it however you please. The control panel is the same as before and features two attachable pieces depending on your display. For the first option, we'll go with hanging it off of his belt. And more than likely, this belt piece is serving two purposes. The main reason being, well, less damage to the overall belt. And from here, you'll want to attach the hilt. There's a slight rise to the back of his tunic, but nothing you can see from the front. Next, you'll want to find a USB-C cable, as there isn't one included with this release. For the final stretch, flip the switch on the side and his hilt comes to life. With the included effects, the simulation of it being ignited is pretty cool. I like the brighter look at the base before the purple color, but it just isn't bright enough to simulate a burning saber. It gets the job done though, and it beats the old ways of installing a whole new arm. Out of the box, Mace is also pre-equipped with his Jedi robe. While I doubt I'd ever use it, I'm glad it was included. Unfortunately though, there isn't wiring in any of the areas it matter most. It exists in the collar line, but that's it. If you're considering having his hood up, that wouldn't look too great either. You'd have to make a few changes in order for it to work. My example would be utilizing magnets, but it isn't discreet enough for my liking. It works though if you need it to. If you're looking to go with his Clone Wars appearance, you'd have to make a few changes to his outfit. First, you'll need to remove the hands. Then, you'll want to take off the sleeves underneath. Included inside, we have 2 spandex bracers for maintaining the tunic sleeves. This is all up to you and how you'd like to have it in your collection. For me, it took a little more time to situate it the way I'd like it to appear. I find twisting the sleeve helped before applying the spandex bracers. It provided a little bit more control on how I put it on and how I cleaned up the bottom of the sleeve. Once it's set up to your liking, you can now go ahead and add the gauntlet. I personally prefer my twisting method. Mace only wore the armored hands when he had these on, so you'll need to have them ready. The left gauntlet dons the Jedi Order logo in a maroonish color as seen in the series. For the opposing gauntlet, his communicator can be seen here. Now, the only pair of armored gestures goes to the saber-wielding hands, which are all new for this release. The next gesture utilizes a force push, but it could be used in a lot of other ways, such as bracing a push or holding the holoprojector. For the final hand, which is extremely unfortunate, we have a right armored neutral gesture. As for the final accessory, we have his base. Hot Toys didn't really break the bank here in any way, so it's about as basic as you could get. The top layer can be covered up by displaying the council chamber's floor design, but I can't say I'd ever use it personally. The crotch stand is the final piece bringing the base together, but it's also another piece for those of you who'd like to attach the control panel to it as well. It's a lot easier this way than harming the belt fabric, so I get it. Samuel Jackson's likeness in this portrait is present in some ways, but definitely not all. As you'll see throughout this section, it depends on the way you're lighting your figure to see a resemblance. Under brighter light sources, it's difficult to say this is Samuel Jackson, but modifying the light a bit, I can almost see it. However, anyone can look good under lower light. Consider referencing our Sideshow Anakin review above. After studying a lot of media with a 50-ish-year-old Sam, I can safely say there are 3 things wrong here: his eyes, his head shape, and his nose. He has a unique set of eyes that you could point out in a photo lineup. You can't with these. His head isn't as bulbous as they made it out to be either. It's a bit more on the peanut side, respectfully. And lastly, his nose isn't as pointy as they made it out here either. The rest of it is practically spot on though. This is one of those figures where your brain tricks you into seeing Samuel Jackson by filling in the errors. This isn't Samuel L. Jackson. Even if we went with it being an amalgamation of his animated appearance, it's still supposed to be a representation of Samuel. Apart from that, I'm not really a fan of the additional oily look to his portrait either. Although I do like the way they painted his scalp though. It appears as a close-cut shave with a grayish-green application over top. The portrait is an easy 5 out of 10 for me. It gets the job done from afar, but I'll leave it there. For the most part, this is about as standard as you could get in terms of a Jedi release, but there are a few good changes to share. First things first though, out of the box I didn't like how boxy he looked, so I wanted to take a second to alter him a bit. There are some things you can't change, such as the overall fit to the clothing, but we'll do our best. The change from button clasps to Velcro is a huge plus. This was one of the more annoying things with figures like Lightside Anakin. You'll notice his shirt is more of a sleeveless design, but the sleeves from earlier do a great job filling in what we'd see. From here, we want to pull parts of the undershirt up. After applying everything back to his person, I prefer the finished look to his undershirt here than it was out of the box. Next, it's simulating weight in the tabards. The wiring throughout this entire piece makes it a lot easier to manipulate and adjust. Is it worth all the trouble to adjust? It might not be for you, and that's okay. However, it was worth it for me. Posing this figure is a lot of fun, and the wiring at the bottom of the tunic combined with the wiring in the tabards really allow for a sense of movement that we otherwise wouldn't have. Surprisingly, the bodysuit isn't hindering much either. While I typically go in and adjust it, I don't find myself needing to this time. If there are any concerns, it goes to the boots for me. While I love the design, I fear the strap down the middle later on the most. Pleather doesn't peel where I live, but that may be an additional concern for you. And lastly, the ratcheted hips when kicking out is yet another great addition to this piece. Before I begin my summary, if you enjoyed this review, like this video for us, and consider subscribing for future content. There's more on the way, so you'll want to stay tuned. In summary, if you're looking for the best of the best in terms of an overall Mace Windu representative in your collection, this is as good as it gets. You're provided 2 different appearances to the character, and it's the first officially licensed version we've seen. However, it doesn't come without its faults. While never say never, I doubt we'll ever see another version of Mace in his Clone Wars armor. Why not provide full sets of hands for that style, or full sets in general? The main issue here is with who it's supposed to be. This is meant to be Samuel Jackson is Mace Windu. Who it's supposed to represent and who it is isn't synonymous in this case. Instead, it's just a Mace Windu. For some people, that's more than enough, and I'm happy for you. However, enough for me doesn't equal the asking price either. He looks decent in the collection, but alongside prior releases such as Fennec Shand and Casca Reeves, he falls short in the likeness department. I'm good with having him, but he isn't quite what I had hoped for in his final release. I'll be giving this one a 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching and take it easy.